Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Kageyama, and I'd like to welcome everyone here to Be Your Own Hero. And man, do we have some heroes today. We really do. And this is a first time experience for me because I have a father and son with me, the Tehans, Josh and Ethan. And they have an incredible story. We did an interview with Josh about a month and a half ago. I'm not really sure when it was, but it was a little while back. And people absolutely loved hearing about the story. And so to bring together the family was is just an honor for me, and I thank them so much. Uh, as far as what's going on with me, um, I am getting better, getting healthier. I walked up and down hills for a mile and a half this week, and so I'm making progress, getting stronger, and I'm so thrilled and so happy to be here. Every day is a blessing, and so embrace every single day, no matter where you are in the world. There's so much going on. There's so much negativity. Let's get some positive things going. And that's about the human spirit, human triumph, coming together as people and making this world a better place. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Josh and Ethan Tehan. Please introduce yourselves and let's get this thing going. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah. Hey, no, appreciate the second opportunity to talk to you. The first go around was certainly a pleasure from start to finish, and you know, you allowing me the opportunity to share my son's story. So now I've got a second opportunity for him to tell a little bit of from his perspective. So we, certainly glad to be able to link up again, and looking forward to now do it as a duo. So, but I am, as Mark stated at the top, I am Ethan's dad, Josh, and definitely proud to have a healthy, smart, young 16-year-old young man in this world. So, um, really thrilled that he's able to have a call like this as well. So, and again, share his story. So
So
I'll let him
let's kind
introduce
of
himself.
review. Go ahead, Ethan. Introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit about yourself, where you are in this world today.
Oh, well, um, as you know, I had cancer, and to be honest, it affected me, but now I look to help other people with it. Right now, what I'm doing is school. I do what I want to do for my career outside of school, which is talking about sports. So I have a podcast on that. I love doing that. I love playing sports too. I do every week. I try to play basketball with a bunch of my friends, and that's about it. Other than that, I chill, do homework, do a normal teenager stuff.
What's the name of your podcast, and where can people find you?
It's called Game Stoppers. I do it on Spotify, and this summer I'm looking to do it on YouTube as well.
Fantastic, fantastic. Yeah, we're gonna. I mean, for those who don't know, uh, you know, Josh and Ethan both know that I'm a huge sports fan. I don't really get into it a whole lot on this channel, but I absolutely love sports. Born and raised on sports. I'm a big Los Angeles fan. No matter if I move or if I stay, I was born and raised a Los Angeles fan. I'm a big Laker fan, big Ram fan, Dodger fan, Kings fan. So, I take it all in. I love golf as well. So, uh, yeah, we'll get into sports a little bit later. But Josh, if you could, talk a little bit about the story and review for everybody where we left off last time. Briefly tell the story, and we can get going.
Yeah. If anyone's, missed, for those who've already missed our first go at this, I went into a lot more detail, but to offer a quick summarization. So Ethan was diagnosed with leukemia when he was 3 years old. And it was something that, you know, with leukemia is interesting because it's not something that's preventative. It's not something that you could stay ahead of. So, you know, there was some pain in a certain area on his body that he was experiencing. And when had got tested in October of, shoot, I think it was 2009, I believe, blood work came back and he tested positive for leukemia. So, you know, you just slip into this whole realm. I mean, you know, the good thing with him being 3 years old, he really didn't know any different, didn't know any better. He just, you know, had the understanding that we were going to be in the hospital for a while, and you know, and you enter into this world that you don't know, and there's a lot of fear of the unknown. Um, and you just hope you can get through, you know, your child and yourselves as parents, you know, can weather that rough storm, because you know sometimes there's, you know, during that whole process, I'd say that first month was probably the one of the hardest, you know. And I know a lot of folks who are affiliated with cancer to some degree, whether they're directly affected by it or not, or you know, just closely affected by it, understand that that first month is it's a lot. It's a lot to consume. It's a lot, as you know, it's a lot of chemotherapy, possible radiation, stuff like that, that really affect the body and the transformation, right? I mean, the transformation of somebody who has cancer, their physical transformation happens quick. And you know, there's sometimes breaks in that storm, you know, and you just keep weathering it day to day. And that's what we did for, gosh, 4 years. You know, he was supposed to be on like a 2 year, I think like a 2 year program, but there was some hiccups along the way, so it extended that a little bit. And you know, he missed out on a lot of his childhood during that time too. Um, but it was in and out, doctor's appointments, left and right, lots of blood work, lots of needles, lots of medicine. I mean, I don't know any way to sum it up. It's just, and then you realize you start to develop this sort of team, you know, this team of people and this really close circle of people. And that includes doctors and nurses that you get to know on a different level. Um, you know, helping you guys out and offering resources, offering whatever help. So it becomes a giant team effort. And I think one of the hardest things is that you have to, you know, during that whole process as a parent, you have to relinquish a lot of control, um, and just put it in the hands of the doctors and specialists who know, and just kind of follow orders. And that's exactly what we did. And, you know, and he came out on top. I mean, it's, you know, that's it's hard to do. I mean, these are wars. They're not, you know, within the war itself, there's a bunch of individual battles within that, but he, you know, he was fortunate enough to come out on top, because we unfortunately saw some folks during that time that didn't make it. So it's the reality of cancer.
When Eth- when Ethan got diagnosed, what went through your mind? You know, I mean, I know the diagnosis is such a critical time. So when you were, as a parent, were given that diagnosis, what was going on through your mind?
It's crazy because you don't digest it right away. I mean, I'm really speaking for myself. You know, I know his mom immediately and his grandmother were in the same room when we got the news. So they immediately, of course, you know, got very emotional. But for me, it was a very it was just hard to digest. The numbness is what I can honestly say. And that, you know, that's the hard thing, because you just hear cancer and you know cancer does horrific things. So you know, once that numbness has subsided, um, that's when you get these reality, you know, these things in your head of, oh gosh, there might be a chance that, you know, I might not get to this point in his life now, where I could be coaching him, or I could be, you know, at his own wedding at someday, you know, stuff like that. I mean, those things enter your head and you're like, he's not gonna be a kid anymore. He doesn't get to do things, you know, and then it's just a wave, just a giant wave of emotions, like very quickly. But I remember just being numb, just numb. There was no cry, there was no anger, it was just, wow, this is reality. I don't know. I never thought, you know, you in a million years you'd ever hear that.
No,
And
I feel for you. I do. I can't even imagine being in your shoes at that moment when your child, you know, the one you love, the one you've raised, gets that diagnosis. So that's, I can't even imagine that. And I really, really feel for you. And I applaud your action, and I applaud the things that steps you have taken since then. And so, what I want to ask Ethan this is, at what point did you realize about the cancer situation? Do you remember back then? At what point did you realize that, hey, I've got something that other kids don't have?
Oh, to be honest, when like throughout the whole hospital, I felt as though every kid at some point has to go through this. That's what I thought. I thought I was just like any other kid having to go through all these treatments and stuff. But the reality of I had cancer didn't really set until I got older, like fourth to fifth grade, when I started having to go back to the hospital every Fridays. That's when it really hit, and I'm like, wow, I got this thing called cancer, and it's bad. I didn't know about any other cancer. I just knew cancer mainly equaled bad things, being sick, possible death, and all that. But in the hospital, I was too young, but I saw every day like I thought I was every other kid. Just had to be in the hospital just so these people could help me be better throughout life to get to where I am right now, to be older and grow up. So to answer your
How did the
question,
other kids react to you having cancer?
um, I what I would do is going to my school. I was bald, and I didn't like that. So what I did every time I went to school, I wore a hat, and I would get bullied until teachers and parents told them this is what he has and this is a bad thing and you need to like say nice things about him. So when what was the coolest day that I could remember was I went to class and everybody else had a hat on and I had a hat. So they all kind of did this thing for me.
yeah, to kind of add to that too, Mark, and this would probably be one thing I would recommend your audience, if they happen to be in a similar situation like I was. His grandfather and I actually contacted the school ahead of time and said, hey, if you guys can do, they actually, his doctor's office offered to educate students and teachers of what cancer is, just so that they can understand it. So once he went back to school, they knew what it was and knew why his, you know, it didn't have hair. So this way it not only educates everybody, but it also takes sort of the edge off of kids, and hopefully minimizes the, you know, like you said, the bullying, right? Because image is everything. So you know, if I recommend anything, you know, recommend to your audience, if they're in a similar situation, definitely try to do that if they can. It just makes it easier on everybody.
That is great advice. Thank you so much. You know, what was going through my mind, I pictured myself being in that classroom wearing that hat. I mean, were you there, Josh?
Not on that day. No, not on that particular day. In fact, I think
Just
it
pop
was
up.
yeah, it was your grandfather, your pop-up. He was there that day, so he remembers, because matter of fact, he from what I gather from the story is when Ethan did go in there with the hat on, Ethan was actually brave enough at that time to take his hat off at some point, like early into it. And he looked up at his pop-up, and I think he was only at 5 years old at the time, and said, I'm okay. I'm okay. And that's what he kept telling him. And then, are you sure you're okay, buddy? He said, I'm okay. And he went in there, and it was great because there was a lot of kids that actually took Ethan in because they knew Ethan as Ethan. They didn't see it as anything else. I think that's probably the beauty at that age. He's still Ethan to everybody. Um, you know, so it was, it's still tough because, you're sending your child back out into the world that he's missed for the past couple years, looking different, thinner, just, I mean, how it is when you have cancer and taking steroids, your face up, there's a lot of physical attributes that are different that shift, and you're having to put him back in that, you're still trying to protect him, it's to some degree. And you're like, he didn't ask for any of this, and now he's got to go stand in front of other people who don't understand it. And you don't want that to impact him emotionally, and that's, I mean, he's already dealing with enough. And you feel heartache for that. But it turned out, again, like his story said, everybody had a hat on, it turned out really well. So, but there's always that worry there.
But I think what happens is the maturity level is, you know, accentuated. You know, you become, you have to grow up a lot quicker. You have to adjust, and you have to accept. And so what I'm curious about, Ethan, uh, who were your best friends? Were your best friends kids that you were going through cancer treatments with, or kids at school?
I had one best friend in the office. I don't remember him well, but he sadly passed away from cancer. I did have one friend in the hospital, and I had two good friends at school that I'd always hang out with. So that was pretty much when it come to came to friends. That was who I had. I had three best friends.
That's great. That is great. Was it easier for you to um, was it easier for you to relate to your friend that had cancer as opposed to the kids that were in your class?
Um, well, like I said, I didn't. I looked at everybody had to go with what I did. I looked at everybody else had to go through what I did. So to him, he was just an average person that I got to talk to and shared similar things that I liked. Video games. I'd play video games with him all the time. And that's kind of what we did to hang out. Friends at school, I'd play sports with them. I'd play things that kids do, tag, freeze tag, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So nothing changed no matter what they were going through, how they looked, whatever. Everybody was the same to me.
So, are you still being treated for cancer today? What's going on there?
I'm completely as healthy as an ox. So that's good. And I just went through two surgeries this past year to make it so my feet could walk heel toe because when I was going through the chemotherapy, it would hurt for me to walk on my heels. It'd feel like needles poking in them. So I just started walking on my toes. And that allowed for less growth on my Achilles. So I needed to get them lengthened. So got those two surgeries done, and I'd say I'm the best I've ever been,
Awesome.
mental and physical.
That is awesome. That is so great. I'm so happy for both of you that this journey is turning out the way that it is. I really am. I am so happy that you know the triumph and the accomplishment here is just magnificent. And my hat's off to both of you. If I had my hat on right now, I'd take it off. I really would. So I am really thrilled about that. So that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So I understand you play sports and you have your podcast. What else? Uh, what else are you doing?
Um,
School wise.
yeah, just school, play video games, hang out with friends. Other than that, that's live a simple life.
Yeah, you've been a lot through a lot, so you deserve a wonderful, wonderful life. Are you doing anything to advocate for cancer for other people?
Yes, yes, I do. This past what few months, 4 months or
Yeah,
longer.
yeah, yeah. Matter of fact,
Yeah,
you'll see behind us the student of the year campaign this
yeah.
year. Uh, well, you tell them you weren't running a campaign, but you were
I was kind of like the face of the people running the campaign.
an honored hero.
Yeah,
He was an honored hero for the campaign. So, um, and that's so basically they uh, shared his story. You know, he would give personal like rah-rahs to, you know, to everybody running in the campaign to, you know, boost their spirits and get them energized to run their campaigns. So LLS is actually really familiar with him and his story. And he's been actively participating in some manner since. And I'm sorry to steal your thunder over there, um, but yeah, but I mean, and you could, yeah, if you want to add to that.
since you did the campaign.
Yeah, since I actually when I did the Man of the Year campaign last year, he was a big part of that with me as well. So um, he's definitely doing what he can to give back. Uh, so we're looking for other opportunities as well. You know, he I'll let you talk.
Okay. I love doing this stuff. What I told the LLS people, because they asked me if I ever in the future want to help them again. And I said, absolutely. You guys even helped me through my journey going through cancer. So whatever I could give back to the people that helped and to the people that are going through what I went through, even worse, I will certainly do, because I enjoy this. Is just like sports, it goes hand in hand. I both enjoy giving back to people that went through the same thing I do, because I know it sucks.
I mean that is so great, and I truly truly commend you. I mean, cancer has changed my life, and I know cancer. You know, you grew up with it, and so it's different. So it's, you know, inspired you in a different way. Um, but I think you have a deeper appreciation for living than the average 16-year-old does.
Yeah, I do see that. I see. I guess when you hear kids my age, sometimes I hear complaints and stuff like that. I guess I think more about when I'm about ready to complain. I think more about what I went through and what other people go through. So I guess I think more about that before I do complaints. But other than that, I mean, I think like a 16-year-old too.
I don't know. I think he thinks a lot older than that, Mark. I mean, he's got such an old soul, and I think you and I talked about this too. You know, when you're a kid at his age and you're around adults for how long? You know what I mean? Instead of being the kid, your mindset changes, and I think that forced him into thinking a lot more maturely. And I think he's light years ahead of his age.
Absolutely, absolutely. I got a question for you, Ethan.
Shoot.
What do you think of your dad?
I love him. He's been there for me day one, and I can't thank him enough every day for what he does for me. Um, and helping me through when I have tough times. cancer. Maybe it even has to do with studying, help with that. Catch. I've always enjoyed playing catch with him. So I love my dad.
Don't make
That
me
is
cry
so.
in front of people. What do you want?
You knew Josh I was going to throw something in there for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's sneaky, Mark. That's sneaky.
Did I read the lines well? That
Yeah, you
gave
did.
me?
Yeah, you read those
Okay.
really well. Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, but that's what you know what I'm trying to portray with the channel is just uh, the love that's involved with cancer. I mean, that's what it takes. It takes a team and a family and a close unit. And we can't do it ourselves. We as cancer
Yeah.
patients can't do it ourselves. It's just impossible. And so we need loving people around us who can help us. And that's, I think, all of our message to everyone who gets cancer. It takes people helping out. And I was so blessed that my daughter, um, when I really needed it, my daughter Lisa stayed with me for 2.5 months. And that was one of the greatest experiences of my life. It really was. And I'm so thankful. And I know you're so thankful too, Ethan, for your dad, because you know he went above and beyond because of his love for you.
Yeah.
So
And
that is
the same goes for his mother as well. I mean, she was phenomenal through the whole thing as well. And I mean, she there's many times she wasn't, feeling well herself, but made sure that he was first and foremost and still continues that to this day. So um, she was tremendous through this whole thing. Um, I mean, it's a different level of strength for everybody, right? So
right. But anyway, what I need to do is I need to wrap this up because Zoom is telling me that I got to wrap it up. So I'd like to thank both of you for your time and sharing, your deep personal thoughts and everything like that. And I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here